Hello folks, and welcome to the Friendly Club online show. This is the technical help and advice event. I'm Andrew Dickens and I usually host the theatre area on the club stand. Now, I'm not normally the most technically minded camper, but the good news is I know a man who is. So please welcome the club's technical advisor, Iain Geddes. Hello Iain, great to see you.
Hello Andrew, good to see you again.
So normally we would be on the club stand and you'd be talking to lots and lots of club members and visitors all day long, wouldn't you?
I would be. I'd be there for pretty much the duration of the show. But here I am today on Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, it's great that you're here so we can help some other people. That's brilliant. Now, we've got lots of questions that have already been sent in by club members. But you will also be available on Facebook, won't you, as you said?
That's right. I'm staying on Facebook and I'll be live until 4 p.m. today. So if you've got a question you want to ask us, fire away, put it on the feed and I'll do my best to answer it.
So experienced caravanners and also new caravanners?
Oh, definitely. Anybody's thinks they've got a question, maybe we may miss a point that they want to have answered. Well, I'll do my best to answer it.
Fantastic. And it's really important to say, just write your questions directly into the comments section of this post, and that way they'll get to you, won't they?
That's right, yes.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's get starting. Today our theme is caravanning, so our questions are going to be based on that. But I imagine some of them can be applied to other forms of camping as well. And here's the first question. So the first question that's been sent in by one of our members is about leisure batteries. My leisure battery has gone flat in storage. Will it be fine if I just recharge it?
It's definitely worth a try. Batteries have a chemical effect that goes on when they go flat. They call it sulfation. It's a change of the properties inside the structure of it, and it affects their ability to absorb a charge. So it may not charge, it may. If you have a smart charger with a desulfation phase, as they're called, that will give it a go. And it takes more than one go as well to actually try and get some capacity back. But don't just recycle it, give it a try first. You may be able to recover it.
And has lockdown had an effect on this, do you think?
Definitely. We had a lot of calls about battery care or my battery's dead, so to speak, or a strange smell from my battery, which is, yes, it's not accepting the charge, and the charge is just making the battery go warm.
So if we are going to try and recharge the battery, we might get lucky, we might have to do it more than once, this might be helpful. Yeah. But going forward, and particularly for new caravanners, what advice would you give them in terms of keeping their batteries in tip-top condition anyway?
The thing to remember is a happy battery is a charged battery, so as soon as you've done something with it, charge it back up. That's always good advice. Have that in the back of your mind all the time. Oh, I've used my motor mover, I'll charge the battery. And that only takes a couple of hours to put that bit back in.
So if you keep your unit on your driveway, or if you keep your unit in storage, would you be doing different things?
Yeah, the driveway is quite easy for you to manage because you've got an onboard charger. If you've got a power supply outside, you can just plug it in. And you don't need to plug it in all the time. In fact, that can be quite harmful for the systems because it's sitting there getting warm, doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So you would charge the battery up, shall we say, once a month, plug it in for a day, once a month, and just top the battery up. But storage can be quite challenging. I mean, if you've got a modern Tourer with a solar panel, that will do the charging for you. That will maintain the battery. And as mine at home it's on a solar panel, so I don't plug mine in.
Okay.
It's good to go.
And if you had an older Caravan in storage, that could cause you a problem because what would you be looking at? Bringing the battery home?
Yes, unfortunately, worst case scenario is keeping the battery at home, which is fine. You can look after it and maintain it, but they are heavy, and if you're a bit little infirm, you're going to struggle getting in and out.
Right. So if you do have it in storage, trying to get a little solar charge on that is a good move.
That could be a good step. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So next up is the subject of servicing, and the question here is, what's a good place to get a service or a repair, and also should I be doing any regular maintenance?
Servicing is best left to a professional. The approved workshop network is out there, the AWS. That's a network of hundreds of workshops throughout the UK. They're audited, they're overseen, and so you can trust them to do the work correctly. They've got the right tools, they've had the training, they've got certification, as you would expect. And we recommend using those wherever possible.
So this is about quality, isn't it?
It's about the quality of the service, yes.
Absolutely. Now, if you've got a new unit versus a second-hand unit, should you still be looking at regular servicing for both types of unit?
We still strongly recommend regular servicing, and there's the additional, often a term of a warranty that the servicing is maintained annually. And we recommend, even if it's a very old unit, It's still got gas electric appliances in it. There's also a 12-volt electric system in there. See, that's something your house doesn't normally have. And these things are being pulled all around the road, and the roads aren't always very good, so there's vibration there as well, and these things need to be checked out.
So often, if you've got a second-hand unit, by getting it serviced at one of the approved places, they could actually find something before it goes wrong.
They may be able to identify a fault that you just don't know is there yet.
Outstanding. Are there lots of these particular places available?
There's hundreds of workshops throughout the UK, yeah.
And where can we find out where the nearest one to us would be?
Sure. I'd just visit their website, which is approvedworkshops.co.uk. They have a Find a Workshop button, press that, and you get a map, put in a postcode, and you'll find who's nearest to you.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one is about liquefied petroleum gas. And the question is, what type and size of gas cylinder do I need? But first, can you explain what type of situations I might need to use LPG in?
Sure.
Big question there.
Yeah, if you use what you might like our club sites, which have got quite a substantial electric hookup on each pitch, you don't need much gas. You will need a little bit because you've still got a gas oven and gas hob, and you might want to run a barbecue or something like that outside. So you will need some, but that sort of camper, they only really using perhaps 1 6-kilo bottle for a season. So, that's all they need. Whereas if you're a greenfield camper, you go to the club meets or our temporary holiday sites, there's often no hookup. So now you've got a situation where you can run your fridge on gas, but you also need to heat your hot water, keep warm, and all your cooking will all be on gas.
So now you're going to use a little bit more, or potentially quite a bit more?
Quite a bit more. A very cold weekend, you could expect that 6 kilo, perhaps only to keep warm for a weekend. But we're talking middle of winter,
yes,
cold.
Absolutely. So the type of gas cylinder and the size of gas cylinder you're going to use is dependent on the type of camping you're going to do.
You're dead right. You really do need to think about, well, how am I going to use this caravan? I bought this caravan, it can do all these wonderful things. And if you happen to just season pitch it with us, well, you won't use much gas. And just having one in there, that'll be sufficient.
Outstanding. Excellent. Okay, now we turn our technical attention to towing, one of your favourite subjects, this, isn't it?
It is.
At the shows, you talk all day long to people about this subject, don't you? Because it's a big subject, this one.
It is, and often it's driven by people making a big ticket purchase, and they want to get it right, which is good, and it's good to help people like that.
Exactly. So the question here is, we're going to look at driving licences with this question, I think. I'm new to towing. Do I need to do another test to tow a caravan? And I passed my test in 2002. Right.
This is complicated, but yes, you can tow, but there's some weight restrictions. What it means is you're limited to a complete maximum allowable mass, as it's called, what everything weighs, of 3,500 kilos. And when we say maximum allowable mass, it's both the car and the caravan and what they're capable of, not what they weigh on the day. So you need to go back to the VIN plate of the vehicle identification plate, and the weight of the vehicle will be on there. It's the first weight on there. And the caravan will have, and you're going to love this, its maximum technically permissible laden mass, gotta love it, which is basically a roundabout way of saying what the caravan can weigh as a maximum. And you put those two together, you bring those two numbers together, that'll be on the caravan, usually by the door, actually. Sometimes in the gas locker, but usually by the door. Bring those numbers together, and to give a simple example, if the car's 2,000 kilograms and the caravan's 1,300 kilograms, we know that's 3,300, that's within that limit of that B licence, as it's called. However, you might see that nice shiny SUV tomorrow, and perhaps you need a 7-seater, and you look at the VIN plate, or you ask the dealer to find out for you, and it'll be, say, 2,300, as just an example figure. And the caravan's still 1,300, so now you have 3,600 kilograms. You now need to do a test to get...
Because you're over the limit of 3,500?
Exactly that, yeah.
And the test itself, what does that involve if you have to do one?
It's a proper test, proper driving test, and you use the instructor's vehicle with their trailer. They provide a trailer for you, and it's ballasted, and it's not just about being able to drive down the road. You've got to be able to demonstrate you can hitch and unhitch safely, a little bit of manoeuvring, a little bit of reversing, but they teach you all this. And the pass rate's not too bad. I think it's around 70% last time I looked.
So especially if you're kind of new to caravanning, this is probably a smart move to do anyway, because you're going to get some proper training here and make you feel comfortable in what you're doing.
That's it. Yeah, the instructors, they're ADIs as we call them in the trade, advanced driving instructors. They're professionals, they know what they're doing, and they're good at it as well. They've all been highly trained. And they'll teach you all these things you'll need to know, and you'll be quite competent quite quickly.
Okay, now that's post 1997.
That's right, yes.
If you passed your driving test before 1997, does the same rule apply?
No, up to 1997, it was you passed a general driving test, which actually permitted you to drive a lot of vehicles. If we look at our driving licences, we'll see we can drive a car, tow a trailer, light truck, minibuses, and one or two other vehicles as well. They don't get that since 1997, so they'll have B and E on their licence, of BE, and that entitles you to drive any vehicle, which is the B, and the E is any trailer that vehicle can tow. So they already have it, even with no training, which is rather worrying when you think about it.
So even in that case, if you passed your test pre-1997, but you're new to caravanning, do you know what? It's probably a good move to do the training, isn't it?
You could do some training. I mean, from next year, our courses will be resuming. Learn with the club. If you visit our website and training courses, you'll find we do manoeuvring. So if you feel a little unconfident about towing, we can help you through that. Exactly.
I think that's a really, really good thing to do anyway. And great that we can find out more of that information on the website as well.
Sure, yeah. It's one of those things with the older generation with the driving licence like we have, there's a little quirk that happens at 70, and that's what we have to renew it. It's often misunderstood that you have to do a medical to maintain towing a caravan. You don't, because you're using your BE portion of your licence for towing.
Okay.
And so with caravans, that is, and it's automatically renewed because it's part of the B part of your licence. It's the motorhome users with large motorhomes. They need their C1 element of the licence, which is the medium truck, and they have to do a medical at 70.
And we're going to do a section on motorhomes, aren't we? So any motorhomers out there, join us for that one when that appears this week as well. Next question, I think kind of follows on quite nicely from that. And again, another one I know you get asked all the time at the show. What car is a safe match for the caravan, and how can I find out if my car is suitable to tow a particular caravan?
It's probably easiest if you start with, can the car tow anything at all? Some vehicles have never been designed with towing in mind, so they don't actually put them through the testing regime. That's usually sports cars, little convertibles, little town cars and so on. You can see the logic, why would you want to tow one of those? Then you need to find out what it can tow, and this can be calculated on the VIN plate, the good old VIN plate again, because it has all the vehicle weights on it. So the first weight, as we know, is the vehicle's maximum allowable mass, as it's called, the MAM. The next one will be maximum train mass. What train means is combined with something else. That's what the word train means. And that will be higher than, and that difference, if you do the sums, will give you your towing limit. And also, if that field's blank, that tells you it can't tow.
Right, so there's a very sensible way to find out what it can or can't do.
Or it could have dashes in it or noughts or something, but some indication of no.
And I'm assuming that part of this whole process again will be what kind of car you've got to tow, how heavy that is, and that will also have an effect on what you can tow as well.
It is, yes. It's what we got, the other situation, so that towing limit is what you might call the arbitrary legal limit. You shouldn't exceed that. Then we go down the route of matching. This is a bit more woolly. This is just a guide, and what we recommend is you always keep your caravan heavier. Oh, sorry, let's start again.
It's a big subject, this one, isn't it?
Always keep the caravan heavier than the car. There's a phrase we have, you don't want the tail wagging the dog, and that's where this comes from. You want to keep that combination, the weight combination, balanced in favour of the car. And we have a guide, it is only a guide, the 85% guide, and that is, especially for novices, really useful for novices because they've really got to get a feel for what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's the car, it's what we call worst case scenario, as light as it can be, which is curb weight. So that's with a driver and a tank of fuel.
Yeah.
And then you have the caravan at that MTPLM again, that maximum technically permissible laden mass. And we crush those numbers together and you have a weight ratio. And so you want the caravan roughly 85% of the curb weight of the car. And it is only a guide. There's nothing, people say law or rule. There's no, it's somewhere to start, especially for novices. And we've got a tool we can help with that as well. It's called TowSafe. And free for club members to use. It's a bit of software. And they log in to the membership area, look for TowSafe, and they can actually put the registration number in if they want, put in the make, model and year of caravan, and it'll do those sums for you and give you an indication of what would be suitable. You can also use it the other way around. You can have a caravan and it'll help you choose a car.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. That's a great idea.
There's other information on there as well. It calls up some various bits of information. And it's really easy to use because it also uses a traffic light system.
Uh-huh.
So if it goes red, the software thinks it's found something that's potentially illegal.
Right.
If it's amber, then it's borderline. There's something that perhaps you've ticked the novice box, but the weight ratio is quite close. Therefore, it will turn it amber, saying, well, you're legal, but you're a novice. If it's all green, well, green's good to go.
So you're happy to go. Because I think we've talked before in the past, there is a slight difference between someone who's towing as a novice and someone who's more experienced and knows what's going to happen on a motorway if a big lorry goes past them, for example, and they might be a bit more comfortable with something on the amber section.
That's right. A lot of it is about experience, and that's why we're more comfortable with a very experienced person of towing to have a higher weight ratio. It's because they'll be able to anticipate that. They'll know going a bit slower downhill, for example, which is helpful. They'll keep an eye on the mirrors. They'll be very watchful of those white vans that come flying past you, because they can put a little wobble on your caravan.
Yeah.
And they'll be ready for it.
Absolutely. And what a great resource again. So TowSafe, again, log into the website, find TowSafe, and you can put all the details in there so you can be really happy that you're doing the right thing.
That's it, yeah. You can call us as well. If you've got a registration number, a quick phone call during office hours, and we'll help out on that too.
Fantastic. Okay, let's take a look now at some more technical terms. So I've heard caravanners refer to nose weight and payload distribution. So the question here is, so what are they and why are they so important? And is this something I need to think about to stop my caravan moving around a lot when I'm on a motorway at speed, for example? So I guess that's a question from a novice there.
I think so. And the two things are linked. And the nose weight is an arbitrary limit on both the car and the caravan. They both have a limit. It's usually quite easy with the caravan because they're usually all 100 kilos. There are some others, the variances. You can check, it's stamped on them. Mm-hmm. The car's a bit tricky to find sometimes. It's usually in the handbook, and it may be in the documents that came with the tow bar that was given to you by the tow bar fitter. Mm-hmm. And generally that would be a bit lower than the caravan, should I say, in most cases. So what you have is a situation where the caravan we know is 100. The car might be 75. Well, that 75 kilos has to take precedence. It's the lower limit.
Right, okay.
And we have a guide. Again, TowSafe also indicates this, but it is only a guide. And we have a range of nose weight limit of 5 to 7%. And that is suggested as a good range of the weight of the caravan. So a 1,000 kilo caravan will have a 70 kilo nose weight.
Right.
As a recommended. If you can't get it quite there, a bit higher, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't suddenly become unsafe if it's 1 kilo too light.
So once you've found out the information on this,
Yep.
let's say, for example, your tow bar says 75 kilograms right on that tow bar for your nose weight, how can you actually test it? Have you got any help in that regard?
There's a good gauge you can get. It actually is like a spring-loaded scale. You drop that onto the, and you wind the jockey wheel up, and it will sink and stop when it's. If it goes all the way to the bottom, you've got a problem. There's something wrong. Okay. But it should stop at that sort of indicated weight, and you need to move things around. And this is where we get to the payload. You need to move things around to get that weight right. If you don't want to buy another accessory, you can use your bathroom scales. Be careful if it's the glass type, but you need to. But with a few bits of wood, you need to stack a few bits of sort of like plywood or floorboardy bits to sort of spread the load a bit, and then a piece of fence post or something like that, and lower the hitch onto that, about sort of that tallish, it's roughly the height of the ball of the car, and you just wind it down again, and your bathroom scales will give it a reasonable indication of where you're at.
And again, this is just a really sensible thing to do, and then you've got that peace of mind again, haven't you?
That's right. You know you're doing it right, and that's quite useful. And so the payload itself is interlinked, and what we recommend is there's certain things. They design the caravans and lay them out in such a way that the weight is distributed sensibly about the axle. Anything you add, especially something like an awning, put that over the axle. It's quite a hefty thing, but you might need to bias it slightly towards the front or the back just to help compensate and get that nose weight right. And that's all you need to do. It's only little things like that.
So be a bit careful with it. And I know we've talked in the past that some people have, if the nose weight was too heavy, they've put something really heavy at the back of the caravan, and this, you've told me, is not a good move, is it? This
is something that's, the technical term is polar moment of inertia. We'll leave that there. What you get is a situation, if you can go back to that white van flying past you, or you're passing a truck, or shall we say, the truck's possibly a better example, because what you get is there's a vacuum behind the truck and a bow wave at the front. It's pushing through the air. As you pass this truck, that vacuum sucks you in. So you're drawn together. So that's brought your caravan closer to the truck slightly. Not very much. It only moves a little bit. Then as you pass the truck, the bow wave then is creating a push on the. So what you've done is sine wave once as you've passed. Now, if you have a lot of weight on the back, it might go back again and again and again. And you're setting up for what people refer to as a snake, but it's an oscillation. And it's not a very nice sensation. It's rarely dangerous, but it's horrible when it happens.
Okay, so we've got another question here, and I've read it, so there's no way around this. This is going to be quite amusing. You'll have to forgive us. It is what it is. You know what's coming, Ian.
Yep.
This is another techie term, a noisy hitch, okay, and whatever that is, you're going to find out in a minute. So here's the question. My Caravan hitch is making a lot of noise at low speed, so what can I do to stop it? Okay.
Yeah, there's two types of hitches first, and it's good to actually go through explaining what the difference is, because some people just don't know.
Yep.
And one is called, this is the hitch, the coupling on the front of the Caravan that sort of holds onto the ball of the tow bar.
Yep.
And we have one called a wet hitch, or wet coupling.
Yep.
And that's basically, it's steel on steel, so we have to lubricate it with grease.
Yep.
So that's why it's called a wet hitch. But we have a dry hitch, and that has a stabilizer built in, so it needs to grip the ball. And because it's gripping, you can't use a lubricant, so it has to be a...
So we knew this was going to happen. This happens at the show every time, and it never fails to amuse, does it?
No, it always raises an eyebrow.
So we're with the dry hitch.
We'll dry hitch, and yes, so these are actually gripping quite firmly onto the ball, and it's dirt and dust that can get up into the hitch assembly, and it's rubbing against the ball, causing a creak. Think about squeaky brakes on a car. It's a very similar process, but because everything's moving much more slowly, it's more of a groaning noise.
Right.
And you just clean them, basically. You can try and wash them out with a bit of brake cleaning fluid. You know, just squirt some of that stuff up there and wipe it with a rag. But actually, these friction pads can be serviced easily yourself. This isn't really a workshop job unless you really just don't feel confident.
Right.
And you can just push them out with a little tool and just clean them with some emery paper, not too coarse, not too fine. Wash them maybe with some brake clean and pop them back in. It is as simple as that. And that normally stops the problem. Also make sure the actual tow ball itself is clean as well. Right. That's supposed to be just polished metal or bright metal.
Okay. Gosh, we got through that okay, didn't we? I think.
We did. We survived.
Not too bad. We had some fun with that at the show, haven't we?
Yeah.
We like that one. Well, look, thank you so much, Ian, for sharing your expertise here with us here. I think you'll all agree, hopefully, that was excellent. I always learn a lot doing these particular talks and listening to you at the show as well. Don't forget, folks, Ian is online until 4 o'clock. So if we haven't answered your questions now, please post it in the Facebook comments section right below here, and Ian will do his best to help you. Now, we've got another session like this about motorhomes and camper vans. We're doing that this coming Friday. That's October the 16th. So get ready with your questions. Send some in prior to it so we can get ready with some, but also again you'll be on Facebook Live for that as well, won't you?
Certainly will be, yes.
To answer those questions. And in the meantime, as Ian said, you'll find a wealth of information about all of these things to do with tent camping, caravanning, motorhoming, trailer tenting, you name it. It's on the club's website, which is www.campingandcaravaningclub.co.uk. And you've also got lots of technical data sheets and things as well, haven't you?
We have. We've got a lot of data sheets. As we mentioned driving licenses earlier, data sheet number 40. That's it has all the information we've been discussing about driving license, but it has a handy flow chart as well. So if you don't like to read all that text, you can follow the flow chart to see what license you need.
And you've also done so many great videos as well that we can watch from the website and also on the YouTube channel, can't we?
That's right, the YouTube channel.
So it's the Friendly Club.
Friendly Club.
On the
That's
YouTube
the one.
channel. Find that one.
Yeah, and we've really gone back to basics with those, such as how to empty the toilet cassette. We've got a little video showing you how that happens. So
again, perfect. If you're new to caravanning, then there's so many fantastic videos that Ian's done that will be really useful.
Certainly are, yes.
Fantastic. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed this session, and Ian and I look forward to seeing you again this Friday. Thanks very much, Ian.
You're welcome.